Like if you had an Alexander Ovechkin of football that had played for the Washington franchise, then that would be the answer and it wouldn't even be close. You need something higher than Mount Rushmore.
Never read the comments.
You leave your comments on this radio show / YouTube multimedia program on the on-demand segments that we cut up and make nice and easy and watchable for you at Craig Hoffman and at the Team 980. And Anthony, we start with someone whose username is Math Don't Lie. And this probably works better in print than it does on me saying it out loud as our appetizer comment today before we get into some of the big topics of the week. But just trust me that it's going to be worth it in the end. You good? You ready?
Yes, sir.
So Math Don't Lie commented on our NFL rules discussions, and he says, before there is talk about banning the tush push, let's first demonstrate that the tush push is both beatable and unsafe. By studying rugby rules and weight restriction limits, that is how you beat the tush push. Step 1, hire two heavy defensive linemen, aka sumo wrestlers. Step 2 is the offensive line plunges forward into the ground. The first sumo wrestler climbs over the offensive line as he goes towards the QB. Step 3, the second sumo wrestler then jumps on the first sumo wrestler to form a 1,400-pound, three-person vertical human wall that clogs the center so that no QB can go through. Again, the reason I've been promoting this nonstop is because the NFL teams need a way to actually stop the tush push. The strategy of using sumo wrestlers to stop a rugby play is clearly beatable and unsafe for the offensive lineman whose neck, back, and head would be crushed by 1,000-plus pounds, whereas the sumo wrestlers are safe because of their layers of fat. If you agree, please check out my YouTube video on this topic so that more NFL fans, more NFL media, NFL coaches, and NFL front offices see it. Thanks.
Wow.
Believe it or not, this absolutely moronic idea is not the reason I pulled this comment. The reason I pulled this comment, Anthony, is because when he spelled out tush push, he spelled it TU ***. He censored the word tush, a phrase often used to not say a different word in front of literal children. We used the 3-year-old version, tush. Would you prefer tushy? Tush. And he censored it. Wow. So the only thing I responded to here was, why did you censor the word tush? And he goes, YouTube has a ban policy on the word tush in comments, but not in live streams. I have been typing in the comments and in the live chats, and sometimes I forget when switching between the two. So apparently, I guess maybe in live chat comments, because he could have used it here, it would have been just fine. They banned the word tush. I just think this guy may have been sat on by a sumo wrestler. And that would explain everything. Because other than that, buddy, I got nothing.
I don't either. I guess we saw Micah Parsons versus a sumo wrestler.
We did. And, on that front, compelling. I just don't know that if you need a foot, a sumo wrestler's get-off ain't going to help you that much because I don't know how quickly he's going to react to the football.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go against one. I wouldn't also want to have to build the pads for that dude. Also, now you're playing, if you do literally anything but the tush push, you're doing 9 on 11. Because those dudes are not getting sideline to sideline.
Yeah, not at all.
I think there's probably some other issues with putting sumo wrestlers in. But yeah, human vertical mountain might stop the tush push. Okay. Great idea. Math don't lie.
Nope.
Maybe you should stick to math. Okay. From math to history, Anthony. One of the big topics of the week for us as Alex Ovechkin scored goal 895. By the way, the Caps have been off since then. Finally back in action tonight. But the record-setting goal sparks a DC sports GOAT discussion. And the angle we kind of took on it was who's the most important athlete in the history of DC sports. But I kind of tried to make it more interesting because Ovechkin is the best athlete to ever play a sport for DC teams because there's no one who is better at their sport than Ovechkin has been at his, with the exception of Michael Jordan, who did all of the greatness in a different uniform. But truly, and then you got, Dion or Bruce Smith who did most of their damage other places. And in fact, they're somewhat punchlines in their DC sports eras. But if you think about like the best guys in DC who mean the most to DC, which also adds like a community off the field element, which also accounts for the popularity of the given sports, I think it becomes a much more interesting discussion. Jason Marr 8 is about 20 years too early, but he just said it's Jaden Daniels. I think currently, yes, most important. Historically, we got a little bit way to go.
He's foreshadowing, that's all.
Yeah, hey, all for it. I would love that. I think that would be good for us personally, Anthony.
Yes.
Sitting in the seats we currently sit in. At JMain21, Darrell Green or Art Monk. I was a little surprised Art didn't come up, but I think also it's hard to say Art. And I love Art. One, let's go orange, as you're wearing the proper sweatshirt for this discussion. But I've met Art. Incredibly nice man, great human, but it was a bit reclusive as opposed to Darrell, who's maintained his presence in the community more outwardly over the years. Art definitely did plenty of stuff, but also as great as Art Monk was, which is truly one of the best receivers in the history of the game. I think Darrell Green is probably more widely regarded as a better corner than Art Monk was a receiver, and considering they played in similar eras at similar times, I have a hard time putting Art over DG. As great as Art was, as much as I would like to, because Syracuse.
No, that's fair.
And also, Darrell Green played for 20 freaking years.
Yeah.
Du Bois Blessed 6103. I just read him, Anthony. Boys with a B. Du Bois Blessed 6103. This is no shade or shot at Ovi, and he deserves all the love he is receiving, but Darrell Green belongs in this conversation of DC greats. NFL is no doubt the more popular sport across the country. That, along with 2 Super Bowl wins, makes the case for him. I do think, on top of the popularity of football, Ovi does only has one championship. Darrell Green and those other football players from that era have 2 or 3, depending on how many of those teams
What about
they played
MVPs, though? Or defensive MVPs? Like, Darrell doesn't have any of those.
Totally fair. And
Only
it's individual versus team and all of that. I don't think you can have a correct answer. Someone did come at you, I presume, pretty hard, though, Anthony. Urban Gorilla 3022. Hey, you wrong, Lil Tony. Unless there was another comment that I missed, I don't think that this was directed at anybody but you, Anthony.
Are they talking about Big Tony?
It says, hey, you wrong, Lil Tony.
Now, my nickname is Little Tony in my immediate family. I don't know if you knew that, Craig. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did know that.
Okay.
I did know that.
Yeah. Lil Tony? Oh, all right, come on. Tell me more, Craig.
Somebody hit you with a Lil Tony.
Yeah.
It's Darrell Green, hands down. Playing 20 years at cornerback is insane work in any era. Sports fans are in awe of LeBron for his longevity, but no one even mentions DG. And to top it all off, he ran a 4.40 at 39 years old and the only corner to shut Randy Moss down in his rookie year. Remember, Green's 5'8", Moss is 6'4". Let that sink in. What you got now, Lil Tony?
Hey, look, I got nothing for you. Like, I salute Darrell Green for what he did his 20 years. I mean, it's tough. Like, everybody has their own opinion. Some people gonna go DG, some people gonna go OV.
I think it just depends on what you value more,
Yeah.
on or off the field. If you want to encompass off the field and like a larger impact, I think it's Green. If you want to say purely who was the best player for their sport in a DC jersey, they both played 20 years. Ovechkin's a better hockey player than Darrell Green is a football player, and Darrell Green's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
It's not taking anything away from Darrell. It's to say Ovi's one of the best 5 to 10 ever. Ever.
It's also the fact that everyone keeps pointing out DG played 20 years. Like, OV also played 20 years.
Yes, correct. And counting. And he's still awesome in year 20.
Yeah.
Scorpio the Great One says 1, Ovechkin, 2, Ovechkin, 3, Ovechkin, 4, pick a football player, 5, pick a baseball player or a wizard. Monsta, this is spelled in a Boston way, MAWNSTA 9075. In Real Things today, by the way, we're going to have an all-timer from Kevin Harlan where he just read what was in front of him. I am that person right now. I am Ron Burgundy. Monsta 9075. It's Ovechkin, and it's not close. And then I think this kind of gets to the crux of it, all right? Scorpio the Great One commented again and said, Alex Ovechkin accomplished more longer, held in higher regard to his respective sport. Not close. Every argument for Green can be said for Ovi, but Ovi was better at his sport and was the focal point for his championship. Number 2 is Green. And then OG log, or it's OGL. And I think it's just that. OGL.
I think so.
What a dumb segment this is.
OG log.
But then there's another L at the end, which is why I think it's OGL.
Yeah.
OGL. There's 4 of them.
Good point.
But the L is capitalized, in case anyone cares. OV cultural relevance in DC is relatively tiny because hockey is tiny. Also, crucially, he doesn't cross demographic lines. OV is basically relevant to white people in only Maryland and some relevantly recent DC white transplants. I think that's overstating a bit. We can go larger than Olney. Shout out to Olney. But the point of impact, to me, that's one of the stronger arguments on like Green's side of it, or a guy like Wes Unseld even, is the impact they made on a larger group of people just because of the relative popularity of football to basketball to hockey, or even the Nats, if you want to, throw in someone there. I mean, the center, obviously, Walter Johnson's the greatest Washington baseball player ever, and he played in an era where none of us were alive, and most of our grandparents weren't alive. I just think that point is why it's not Ovi in a runaway and why this is even a discussion in the first place. Like, if you had an Alexander Ovechkin of football that had played for the Washington franchise, then that would be the answer and it wouldn't even be close. You need something higher than Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, like, Ovi sort of kind of did make DC more of a hockey town. Like, I'm not going to say I was the biggest fan. Again, I went to my first hockey game this year.
And you're definitely not a white guy from Olney.
No, I'm not. But I have friends that are from Southeast DC that always go to the games, have the jersey, take his little brother. I'm like,
100%.
Why am I late to the party?
And I think that's the thing, right, is Ovechkin expanded the popularity of hockey, which is why I think you can definitely make this argument.
This is the Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.